Hello and welcome to Women in Retail Talks. I'm Christina Stidham, Digital Content Manager at the Women in Retail Leadership Circle. Today I'm joined by Manna Kadar, the founder and CEO of Manna Kadar Cosmetics, a family of brands that includes Manna Kadar Beauty, Goddess by Manna Kadar, Beauty and the Bump, Haute Dog Luxury Pet Products, Mason Man Skincare, and Manna Kadar Luxe Bath & Body. In this episode, we're discussing her career in the beauty industry, how she's navigated the business world as a minority woman, her unique product lines, how she gives back, and much more. So Manna, thanks so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So I wanted to start off talking about your career. You have always been in the beauty industry, starting with buying a mall-based cosmetic store just at age 16, which is incredible. And you've received so many accolades, including being named to the top 40 under 40 beauty CEOs. So can you share more about your background and how it led you to start Manna Kadar Cosmetics?
Absolutely. So I started at age 16 in retail, purchasing retail cosmetics stores. I started with one store and I expanded the retail chain to 7 stores in 6 years while going to USC full time. So I started one end with retail and had the experience to chat with tens of thousands of women and understanding their challenges with makeup, with skincare, and really what they were looking for. So at the time, there weren't a lot of cosmetic lines that were out there that were addressing these issues that women had. Essentially, women loved beauty and makeup. There were just so many choices that they didn't even know where to begin to navigate. So that's what led into creating Manna Kadar Beauty.
Okay, great. So as I said in my intro, you have a lot of ventures going on at Manna Kadar family of brands, but I want to focus on your Manna Kadar beauty line. So can you explain what makes your products so unique and different from other beauty products on the market?
Yeah, I would love to. So, kind of piggybacking up what I was saying with women, with all the choices and not knowing what to do, another aspect of that is women, pressed for time, whether they're a busy student, a mom, an executive. So I wanted to create a line of products that was multifunctional, double duty, long wear, and creating a 7-minute base where, all of the products have a step 1 or a step 2 or 3. So it can help women understand when to put their makeup on and in what order.
And that was actually going to be my next question about your Beauty Simplified system, how you said it minimizes the application process to 7 minutes or less using your combo products. And I know that for me, that sounds like a dream, and you probably have really struck a chord here with every woman and consumer who wants easy but quality makeup. So can you explain a little bit more about the system, how the 3 parts work to it, the type of products in each step of the process, and how it works for every woman?
Sure. So it's actually quite simple. Step 1 is prime. So everything that, basically all the primers that go on your face before the rest of the makeup goes on. The reason primers are important is because it fills in any fine lines, any pores, any wrinkles on your face. For a face primer, for your lash primer, it conditions your lashes and it helps hold your mascara in place. And these are all the products that you just put on first to ensure that your makeup stays on all day. So that's step 1 is prime. Step 2 is polish. So creating that flawless palette on your face. So that's your foundation step and your powder step. So you're just putting that on after your primers, and step 3 is perfect. So that's all the color that goes on at the end. So think of eyeshadows, lipsticks, all of the color pieces that tie in the look.
And starting and growing a company in an extremely crowded market, such as beauty, is definitely no small feat and takes a lot of determination. Can you share how you broke into the market when you were first starting out with Manna Kadar, and what helped you stay confident in moments maybe where you were uncertain?
I think our breakout moment happened quite early in the company, where subscription box companies were just beginning and on the rise. So I had the opportunity to work with Birchbox our first year of business, and so that really propelled the brand into getting the product into hundreds of thousands of consumers' hands to bring awareness to the brand and share our message.
And are you able to share any stories about, moments where maybe you faced some challenges and you were uncertain, and what helped you stay confident and push forward?
It's hard to choose. There are so many challenging things that happen along the way. I think one of the most challenging things that I faced is that I've been self-funded and continue to be self-funded as a company. So, cash is always something that's necessary to help grow and expand a company. So I had to get really creative in finding resourceful ways to come up with cash to continue to grow the business. So I do have a finance background that has helped tremendously. And one of the key things that I've done is I built some really great relationships with my manufacturers and worked out pretty extensive payment terms with them so that they could help grow the company by manufacturing products and helping to finance these manufacturing runs along the way.
And in addition to that, related to all of these challenges about funding, I'm wondering if you've felt that the challenges have been greater being a woman as well as a minority launching a company. Is the funding, was it a choice to be self-funded, or did you run into a bunch of issues acquiring funding? Because we hear so often from women about how they have been told no a dozen times until they've pushed through and finally get that one yes that lets them, move forward with their dreams. So is there any challenges that you feel were tied to that and how you've navigated them?
Yeah, definitely lots of challenges with being a woman, minority, and then also I was very young. So it was, difficult for people to take me seriously. So one of the things I did was, I made sure to do a lot of communication with whomever I was dealing with via email or on the phone before I met them in person so that I could really show them I was professional, I was organized, and I had a solid business plan. So that when there was a face-to-face, perhaps the age thing or the minority thing or the woman thing, what wasn't an issue was more or less my performance as an entrepreneur and business owner. And so with the no's and with the funding, most businesses, despite what is said with, minority and women businesses, funding isn't normally available for startups. It's not readily available. Unfortunately, usually the people that are able to get funding are people that don't need the funding or don't need it as immediately. So usually a company is not bankable for the first 3 years of their business, or you have to put up a lot of collateral, which in that case, if you have the collateral, you should be able to get financing normally anyway. So it's almost a catch-22 with that funding piece of it. And to answer your second question, I want it to remain self-funded because I wanted control of the company and not to be tied into anyone else's vision for my company.
And being of a finance background and with all the different business ventures that you've accomplished and been so successful at over the years, I'm wondering if you could share any advice around finances for people who are just starting out, entrepreneurs who maybe have never owned their own business. What are just a couple tips and tricks as far as funding or managing capital that you might have for them?
I would say, have a really solid financial plan. A business plan is great to have on paper, that describes your vision and how you're going to execute, but including, a very detailed plan of what you're going to do with the money and how you're going to expand and grow, but be very detailed. And usually things cost much more than you think it's going to cost. I would say usually it's 2 times more. And there was so many unforeseen expenses that you may not have thought of as things, arise. So just being prepared for those things so that if and when you do get the funding, you know how to utilize every dollar really efficiently.
Definitely great advice. And I also wanted to touch on Manna Kadar Beauty's motto, when you look good, you feel good. And I know that you've said before that that means something different to everybody. And so your products can really help everybody feel good about themselves. So can you talk a little bit more about how you created that motto for your brand and why that's essential to Manna Kadar?
Yeah, it's really, part of our beauty simplified mantra where we wanted to give each woman an experience every day where they had 7 minutes to themselves or more if they chose to really just focus on them, making them feel good when they look good and taking the time to just focus on, accentuating their best qualities and using that as a moment for, self-care. So I know for myself, when I put myself together, I certainly walk taller and am more confident. And so I wanted to, to give that experience to all of our people that use the product.
Yeah, I love that. And everybody can kind of do it in their own way, whatever feels good to them. And you have a nice base of products where people can take it in any direction that they'd like. So in addition to operating your successful cosmetics companies, you also had a background owning salons and different beauty bars, and now you serve on several boards. You also participate in charity work and volunteer work. So can you talk about the ways that you give back and help the communities around you, and why you choose to be involved in this type of work, why it's important to you?
Yep, absolutely. So, I grew up in a very underprivileged, humble, beginnings type of a background. So I was fortunate enough to have a ton of and benefit from a ton of different programs that were out there, whether they're summer camps or, business programs for high school youth, and, benefited from so many different scholarships and other companies that gave back to me in order for me to have the experiences that I have had that has led me to where I am today. So, fortunately, I'm now in a position where we can definitely give back, and it is a cornerstone for the company to make sure that we help, women, kids, whomever, with whatever we can, so that they are being given opportunities they would not have had before.
And do you do that through donating your products, or maybe giving back certain percentage of your profits, or do you personally go and do these volunteer opportunities? Can you talk a little bit more about it?
Yeah, there's so many things that the company does. So first, we donate product for sure to various women's shelters, and then a lot of different organizations that may need, personal care items, especially like right now for PPE. We have a lot of, hand soaps and body washes and face cleansers that are really needed for people that are underprivileged. And then also, so 10% of all gross revenue is also donated financially through the company as well. And then I serve on these boards. So I definitely actively participate with, propelling these organizations forward by fundraising, events. We have a group that I belong to called Miracles for Kids, and there's a women's founders circle. So we are tasked to raise $1 million this year. And then volunteer, of course, we just started to bring our kids, I have a 3 and a 4-year-old, to different volunteer organizations so they understand what the meaning of giving back is. So we try to hit all the financial, the time, and then the volunteerism as well.
Yeah, because they're really all equally important, and that's awesome that you strive to be so involved and give back in all these different ways. So for my last question, I'm wondering what you're planning to take on next, either personally or professionally at Manna Kadar Cosmetics.
Well, yeah, I just turned 40, and I had an epiphany when I was 40 on that day. I was like, okay, what am I going to do next? Like, this is an important year. And so I've always had this great passion for home decor, just decorating in general. So on the horizon will be a Manna Kadar home line.
Wow, so another expansion to the Manna Kadar family.
Yeah, and when I came in the office and told my team, they're like, "Oh boy, here she goes again with."
That's awesome, though. Always looking for innovative ventures and ways to expand. And if you're passionate about these things, why not go for it?
Yep, absolutely. So that'll be on the horizon the next year or two.
Well, best of luck. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Women in Retail Talks, Manna.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at womeninretail.com/podcast for show notes. Women in Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. And if you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Women in Retail Talks.